Well, welcome back to the Greenhouse Podcast. Today I'm the host, and I'm excited about it. I have with me our partners in crime, Pastor John, Pastor Tina. This past weekend, we had a good time on stage, like talking about the significant relationship of friendship kind of and community in the context of this Pillar series. Our lives are meaningful based upon the relationships that we have. And so I thought it might be a fun continuation to ask some random questions about friendships. So
I like fun.
You're the fun people.
Well, so, he is.
So, Tina, we'll start with you. I'm gonna start with you. Like, how many lifelong friends would you say you have?
Oh boy, why'd you have to ask me first?
I don't know. I just thought it would be good. I mean, is it more than one? I mean,
okay. I feel like, should we answer honestly?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This isn't the place to lie.
No. I mean, I don't want to be like, I have all these friends. I think as you get older,
yes, this is helpful for people.
Quality friendships lessen,
100%.
so to say. I think of different phases of my life and the friendships that I had. And I remember just being really connected to a lot of different girls, a lot of different ladies, and, things that you think will last forever typically don't. And so through the years, I've just, especially when you are married and just living your life with your spouse and you work together and everything, and then you start having kids, it just changes things. It changes friendships. But I think it is possible to have some really deep friendships, but the longest ones are probably the deepest ones, but they're not as many.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say I have a ton, but there's a few good, solid ones that are in my life.
I like this. John, coming to you, different question. I'm not going to give you that.
I was already prepared.
I'm not giving you the serious one.
Oh, Lord.
Who's the funnest friend or the funnest couple friends in your life?
How long is this podcast?
I mean, just give it to me. If you're having a bad day, who can make you laugh?
All right. So in no particular order, these are the things that come to my mind.
Okay.
I have a friend outside of our church. He lives in South Carolina. His name is JT. He's on staff at a church in South Carolina. And he has the most dry sense of humor I think I've ever seen. He doesn't smile when he's being funny. And that's just funny to me.
Okay.
He's a hoot. In our church, Jonathan O'Hara makes me laugh. He doesn't have to talk. All he's got to do is be present. And you laugh. He's just funny.
He's a party.
Dwayne Gorman, hilarious.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Brett Boyd, hilarious. I mean, you're pretty funny too.
I can be.
If you're feeling the grease, you can be pretty funny.
What about your friendly neighbor?
Oh, yeah. Mike Sparuta
is moving into the neighborhood.
Huh? Not trying to be funny. He's just being who he is.
Right.
Directly across the street. The guy's hilarious. Yesterday morning, shows up knocking on my door at 7:00. He's got a bagel for me. I'm just laughing.
Yeah, that is funny. So I think friends can get you in a world of help or in a world of hurt. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think along the way of our lives, I agree 100%. As we age, our circle tends to shrink. Mm-hmm. But there is a measure to the scripture says bad company corrupts good character. And so like we told our kids, be careful who you hang out with. Your kids are one relationship away from being screwed up. Mm-hmm.
So true.
And there's this measure to it that it's not much different as you get older. You know what I'm saying? It's like having the right people in your life are just so important. And that's why I think the kind of church you're in is going to attract a certain type of person.
So true. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are either going to stay close to the fire or they're going to leave. And so it's navigating that. But why do you think culturally, like, as much opportunity as we have to be connected, why is there such isolation and loneliness? Either of you answer, popcorn, however it comes.
Well, I actually saw some of the questions that Landon sent out, and I saw an answer or two, but I liked, and I can't remember who it was that answered it this way, but I liked their answer because I thought, yeah, that's true. I think with us, like social media and just different, we're connected to anything we want to be connected to right now because of just the technologies, internet, social media. So that makes us have the facade that we're connected, but the depth is not there. And so it makes us think, oh, I've got all these friends, I've got all these people in my life, but do you have all these friends and all these people in your life? And so I think that answer was totally right, that we think we're connected to all these things, but we're living with our faces in our phones all day. So you're connected by looking at and observing what's happening in people's lives, but not actually having face-to-face conversations with them.
How do we, what's the answer, John? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like of wheelhouse for you, I feel like it's part of how God's wired you. I feel like you can connect with just about anybody. Now, it doesn't mean you like them always. Most of the time you do.
It's a whole nother podcast.
But, exactly. But I think your ability to read people, sense what's happening, all that kind of stuff, and like, I think that can help you be a better connector. But like, what's the church's seat at the table as it relates to isolation and loneliness? Because I think as much as AI speeds up, I think it's only going to create job security for the church. Because as much as people can find stuff, they can't find human connection, and that's how God's wired them. And so the church has to. We have to. This is why we can't just do songs and sermons and be great at platform preaching and music and kids ministry. We've got to help people connect. Yeah. And how do you see all that as a person that I know that thinks about it, even as it flushes out within the methodology of groups and community?
I think people are afraid. Not everyone. This isn't a blanket statement, but I think a good majority of people are afraid to ask someone to meet for coffee without an agenda. You don't have to. I mean, there's times and places where you have a purpose of meeting. Maybe you know they're going through something. Maybe you're going through something. But there's just something powerful about getting together and having no agenda and just talking. I think people get afraid of that rejection or afraid that someone's going to ask something of them. I think fear is probably the biggest part of that, spiritually and in the natural.
What happened to the days when we grew up in church? Like, people hung around, and then people said, where are we going to lunch? Like, what happened to that? It's like everything's got to be scheduled now on some levels, and even there is a role that the church plays in systems and providing opportunities, setting the table. You know, even what we talked about this last weekend as we launched groups and the ways we're doing groups and the menagerie of groups that we're offering for people to get plugged into and how they can. That's part of, I think, the church's role, fulfilling the mandate in Acts. They met in the temple and from house to house. But like it's like, can't people still just say, hey, I seen you in the lobby the last couple of weeks. I know this might be weird, but what if we went to coffee? You know, why can't...
I don't know what's so hard about it.
Maybe it's happening. I'm not saying it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? But like, it was like, are we going to Arby's after church? Are we going to Western Sizzler? You know what I mean?
Golden Corral.
I don't know.
I think people are so afraid of rejection.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest culprit. They're so scared that somebody's going to say no, or that they don't want to be around them, or they're just going to be rejected. And I don't know why that has grown so much through the years of just a fear of rejection.
And that's all a lie from the enemy. The other side of that is I think everyone thinks they're busier than they really are. Like people just say, oh, I don't have time for that. Or how are you doing? Good. I've just been busy. Who isn't? Like, I say that sarcastically. Like, who isn't busy? But
Right.
you people, if there's anything I've learned with time, money, resources, whatever your resources are, people make time and spend money where they want to do that. And same with relationships. It's just what you value.
Yeah, you do what you want to do.
Yep.
And you make a priority what you want to make a priority. And I think people are just so involved in their own lives that they can't see outside of what they've got going on with just themselves and their own family. And so they just choose to stay very inner circle type of thing.
So I believe, next 3, 4, 5 years, I was listening to a separate podcast by 2 church leaders, and one of them mentioned a movie that was filmed in like 2013, and he was like, when I saw that movie, it was like, there's no way that those things are going to happen. And he said, now it's 2026, and everything that was in the movie is part of what's happening now. With AI and all those things. And back to what I said earlier, like I think one of the markers of the church in the future is going to be the human connection, because we have artificial intelligence, but that cannot produce artificial virtues.
Right.
It can't produce the gifts of the Spirit or the fruit of the Spirit or the human connection piece that people are longing for. It can't grieve with you when you're walking through things. And so I think that's going to be the marker, a great opportunity for the church. But I also think it's how the early church started. Part of what made the early church so contagious was that they loved one another and they cared for one another. The early church, they were known as the friends of Jesus, and they were friends with one another. So it's like, it's part of like, I think the mandate for the church, is when people don't find their friend group in the church and around the things of the God, they'll find it with the travel team. They'll find it at their job. They'll find it with their hobby. At the bar. Those things aren't wrong, but like there's a greater invitation that we can have. And people always say, well, I got hurt in church or blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? But it's like, man, how can we help get in the guts of life with one another and do it together and overcome our fear of rejection or whatever? Because, I often think about what you've said multiple times in the last 10 years, John, that you've discovered some of your best friends schlepping chairs in church.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, that didn't just happen because you hoped it would.
No, and the crazy thing about it is, just being honest, some of them, I didn't even like at first. Just being honest, I'm like, this dude annoys me. He don't shut up.
Right.
And here we are. Like, you can still talk to him. I've noticed that over the years, even in our church, there's people come in and you're like, you're not skeptical of people, but you're like, I wonder what they're really like. And the more you get to know them, we've seen how many times over the years where couples come to our house for small group, families come to our small group, and they'll sign up and we're like, oh, we don't really know them. What are they like? And we end up just loving them. Yeah. People that you almost misjudge. If you're just being honest, like you misjudge. I think people too get hesitant to be around others and be in deep relationship because they're afraid others are going to smell on them what they're struggling with.
Yep.
Or they're going to have to share their life story, every sin they've ever done or ever committed, and just not live in relationship with each other.
There's a principle in Genesis where the Bible says that God formed man and then he ruached, he breathed breath into it. And I think there's this kind of principle all throughout the Bible. Jesus would say it, this is the wineskin or the form, and this is the wine. And, part of what we talked about all weekend long, and part of why we do group launch, is because there needs to be a form.
Yep.
There has to be a way for relationships to connect and be organized. And we've talked about looking at the regional model of like, hey, we think God's calling our church to Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, and the uttermost parts of the earth. What does that look like for us? It may look like Spring Hill, Lewisburg, Columbia. Starting to form and shape the strategy with Discover 66 groups, with manhood groups, with sisterhood groups. That's the form.
Yeah.
And the form's important, but what we want in the form is the Ruach. We want the breath and the life of God. That's people signing up and getting in those rooms and attending those groups and looking at people in the eyes and meeting at coffee shops or meeting in homes. Like, that's where is God? He's with his people. So when 2 or 3 gather, he's in the midst, and that's how he's forming and shaping people's lives. But the groups are, the mechanism is, okay, we're going to sign up for this. You're going to use Church Center app, all that stuff. It's all important. But what we're after is how can people have a lifelong relationship? How can people connect how can people care for all those things? So it's like, this is the hope of this new launch, because we have seen over years how people's lives, like, they get to connected with someone and it's forever changed.
Yeah.
And so I feel excited because as it relates to pillars, when that relationship piece of people's lives, the friendship piece or the community piece, is done God's way, it brings great meaning.
Yeah.
To
It's
people's
really
lives.
life-changing to people. And I feel like it's what people long for. Most people long for that connection. They long to know God more. They want to study his word. But it's like they'll only go so far sometimes. And so as a church, we can provide you with groups. Here's opportunities to be connected. Here's lots of different ways that we can get you involved. But there is a portion that they have to take ownership of and make a step towards community.
Yep.
Make a step towards learning more. Make a step towards going deeper with people. That sometimes is vulnerability. That's vulnerable.
Yep.
And that's hard sometimes.
Yep.
But if you will just open up tiny bit, just one little step, just one little agreement to say, yes, I'll be a part of this group, you will see how God will just take that step of obedience and come in and just change your life.
Yep.
Everyone has a past. That's the other thing, is the more you're with people, you're around people, you start to realize, oh, they're not squeaky clean either. They've had issues. They've had this and that. I think that's the other thing people get scared of, that, again, their imperfections are going to be exposed.
I think, some of the common thing we've talked about as we kind of close out our time is, we've said in varying ways all throughout the life of our church, it's hard to believe we're staring down 10 years, but, you find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And you can find great preaching and you can find great worship. And, we're doing our part to provide whatever great means. We want God's what we want in those aspects. But what's going to be the marking difference in a spiritual family or ecclesia or a church is the relationships that you're part of, how you're connected to the body. And what that looks like is friendships that you establish and the work that you put in to be in things. And it's a small step with getting into the form of a group, but then you have the opportunity to have battle buddies, to have people that bring you food when you're having surgery, to people looking out for your kids when they're going crazy. All those things that are intangibles and that are priceless. But that's where I think real transformation happens. We're found by a father, but we're formed. We're really shaped by the relationships that we're in. And part of what we wanted to say with the integration piece is give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think we're going to probably we have more groups, more interest. I think we have greater clarity on the strategy. Our church is continuing to grow, and I think we'll have more people involved in groups. But if you're like, like the turtle that pops your head out every now and again, I just want to say, stick it on out there. We'll help you get on the fence post and like sign up, be involved, because there's so many great groups to be a part of.
We're all weird. So you can just get that out on the table. Everyone's weird. Everyone's annoying. We all have our quirks.
No one's perfect.
No one's perfect. And you don't know what people are made of until you share a few meals at a table and play a nasty round of catchphrase. It can get pretty rowdy.
That's for
See
sure.
what people are, what's really inside.
100%. I think last kind of push I want to just say is, group launch, get connected. The whole fall, we have asked the Lord to help us be strategic with sisterhood events, manhood events, the retreats, the sisterhood retreat, the manhood retreat. Listen, if I can't encourage the men and the women in our church any more strongly than to sign up for those things, because stepping out of the traffic and being in the mountains with people outside of your deal where your little kid's tugging on your thing and someone's wondering where dinner is. Let dad figure that out for a couple of days.
Yep.
Let mom lose her mind for a couple of days with the guys. But men and women, sign up for these events. Church body, get engaged in groups, and let's make friends that matter, that have eternity in their hearts and what we're valuing. So let's just be about that. And I think it'll help us build strong, luxurious lives for God to dwell in. It'll help, strengthen that pillar of friendship. So any final thoughts?
Well, I will say that I've led many women's groups over the years. We've led groups together in our women's ministry. There's probably not one woman that arrives to an event and they're not a little bit afraid. There's probably not the same thing with men. Maybe they won't admit it. They're not just a little bit afraid. So, like, even me as a leader, sometimes I walk into a room like, who am I going to sit with? Who am I going to talk to?
Like, go to the bathroom for a
minute.
minute.
We're not above anything. Like, we
Right.
feel all those feelings. But every single time God meets you, and every single time somebody smiles at you and somebody welcomes you in. And I always hear from ladies all the time, like, I was so scared to come, but I'm so glad I did.
Yep.
So that's just an encouragement to say, take a step. God will meet you.
Keep taking the risks.
I would add to that, just don't think about it. Just dive in. Sometimes it's healthy to be around people that don't think like you, smell like you, live like you, eat like you. It's good to be around people that are different.
I agree. Well, get in where you fit in. There's plenty of places to fit in. Take the risk, walk across the room, sign up for the group, be a part. And again, if the early church were known as the friends of Jesus, they were not just his friends, but they were friends with one another. So let's be that in Middle Tennessee and see what God does. So thanks for being with me on the podcast.
Thank you.
Join us next week. Again, share this, like, subscribe. Let's just continue to be salt and light to people and help people behold and become like Jesus. We'll see you next week.